Welcome back to the Ukulele Club channel. I'm Kalani, your host and teacher, and this lesson is all about bar chords and how to practice them and how to play them well and how to make it easier for you. Because I know a lot of you, a lot of us ukulele players struggle with bar chords, especially early on. Let's face it, they're not comfortable. It seems like you're holding down 8 strings at once, and we just, sometimes don't get the best results, and it's a little bit discouraging. But I'm here to help. So I'm going to give you some ways to practice bar chords and break them down, make it a little bit easier to get into playing them. And then I'm also going to give you some ways to play them that involve holding the ukulele and applying some pressure that are easy and effective, so that as a result of using the techniques I'm going to share with you in this lesson, you should be able to learn how to play bar chords more smoothly, have more success, and also be able to execute them with a nice sound and hopefully lower levels of frustration, because I know it can be frustrating. So let's get started. I'm going to focus on 2 of the most popular or common bar chords that we learn and play on the ukulele, especially early on, and those are the B flat bar chord and the D7 bar chord. And there's a couple different ways of playing those, especially the D7. You have a couple options. We'll talk about that in a second. Right now, let's just review what is a bar chord. A bar chord is a chord where you are using your finger, usually one finger at a time, to basically emulate the roll of the nut. The nut is down here. It's where all the strings terminate on the neck, and that's our starting point, right? But what if we want to take a chord shape like our A major chord shape, where we use our first and second finger, and what if we want to slide that little shape up the neck? Well, we can't just slide up those 2 strings, right? Because then we have a different chord. A nice sounding chord, but that's not a major chord like the A major. So what we can do basically is we're going to substitute our second and third fingers for our first and second finger like this, right? So I can move from here, I can substitute, and now I freed up my index. Now I can use my index as the nut or the bar, place it anywhere on the neck, and I can move that major chord up and down the neck, right? So you guys know that. That's basically the concept of a bar chord. Because we're using our finger, right, we've got to hold down most, not always all, but a lot of the strings firmly, so we can have that roll of the nut, which is to have all the strings ring openly. We've got to emulate that roll, which means we've got to be successful in holding down the strings. So here's the first part of how I want to help you, and that is when you practice your bar chords, if you're going to say practice B flat, for example, rather than practice the entire chord all at once, practice it in parts. So just practice the bar by itself. Now, one of the things that's going to make it easier for you to exert the pressure, there's 2 things actually you can try. One is you can start by layering your fingers, stacking your fingers, and it's a little bit of a cheat move, but we're just focusing on the bar finger right now. You can stack your fingers just so you can hear the sound, maybe get a better sound, and hear the strings ringing freely. The other thing you want to do is make sure that your thumb is in the back of the neck so that you have that opposite pressure working against your index finger for your thumb. And I'm going to give you another tip when I get to the next part, but that's just practicing the index by itself. And then move that up. Make sure you shake out your hand so you don't get it cramped. And then repeat, and just keep repeating that. Work on that by itself. Then you can also work on, and this shouldn't take as much work, but you can also work on just the fingers by themselves. So start in the A position with the second and third finger, and move it up. You might discover some chords that you really love. You can come back to those. Right? And then put it together. All right, so just break it apart. Practice kind of each, let's call it a half. you've got the bar, and then you've got the rest of your fingers. And you can apply that concept to any bar chords you're learning and playing. All right. Second part of this video is focusing on a way that you can get a little more pressure without using your index finger muscle, because these are the muscles that get cramped up, right? So, and that's because a lot of beginners will try to really clamp down and push down hard with their index finger. But here's a little cheat that you can use, and it should be pretty easy for you. So what you're going to need to do this is hold the ukulele up in the traditional position, or let's call it the chest position, and not try to play it down here like a little guitar, right? Because it's not a little classical guitar. I know these days some players will play it on their laps, or you might even see somebody really low, like completely out of the picture. But traditionally we want to be up here. So this is good. This is what we need to do for this particular technique or strategy. You want to get the bottom of the body locked in there in your arm, and get your elbow, get it down in your elbow, and get your forearm on top of the ukulele and pull it into your chest so that it's very secure, right? You're kind of hugging it. Then when you do the bar over here, you're going to exert a little bit of inward pressure, right? Not a lot. A little bit of inward pressure. You're just going to kind of squeeze it in towards you, and that is going to push the neck forward, right? It's going to put force. If I pull here on this end, the neck wants to come forward. And then I can hold that against my barring finger. And that is going to be a little bit of help. It's going to help me. And again, go back to just the finger so you can experiment with getting that pressure here and the force of the neck coming forward. And I think you'll find that that's helpful for getting all the strings held down. And you don't really have to use, you don't have to pinch, and squeeze, because the ukulele is trying to move forward and you're just stopping it. And as a result of trying to stop the neck from moving forward, you're going to press those strings down. So it may not completely solve the issue for you, but it's going to help. All right. So let's move now to the D7 chord. There's a couple different ways you can play it. One is with your number 1 finger, and then your second finger on the A string. And you can also use your second finger and then your third finger on the A string. And this may be more common because we usually like to keep our fingers, at least in the root position, we like to use our fingers on the fret where they would normally fall. So 1, 2, 3. So maybe doing this move would be easy. And then also, if you're doing this, don't be worried about stacking your fingers a little, so you can get on top of that number 2 finger with your index finger or number 1 finger. Can you do it the other way? Maybe. Whatever is more comfortable for you. I would say stacking your fingers is going to be a scaffolding or intermediate step that you could do, but it's a little bit of a cheat, so don't get in the habit of doing that. If you need to do that to get all the strings to behave and get a nice sound, try it, but then try to wean yourself off of that so you're not dependent on that, because ultimately you want to be able to just hold the strings down with 1 finger. And if you need to, you can practice this one in parts, although that should be pretty easy, and move it around, try it different places. And then just take breaks. The last thing I want to leave you with is shake it out, like the Taylor Swift song. Don't get cramped up. Shake it out, come back, shake it out, come back, shake it out. Remember that learning a new chord shape is not about holding the chord shape for a long period of time. It's more about getting in and out of the chord shape repeatedly so you develop muscle memory. And then you get to the point where you just think about the chord and your fingers just go right into that shape. Hopefully quicker than I just did. But bar chords are just one of those things we all deal with, and we all have to find our own way. But I hope these tips are helpful, and if they are, of course, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and all that stuff. All right, I'm Kalani. This is the Ukulele Club channel. Thanks for stopping in. Make sure you hit the bell if you're a subscriber so you don't miss any new updates, and I'll see you all soon. Enjoy playing those bar chords and good luck.